Hi, everyone, and welcome to this session of Ask Dr. Sharon. I'm Sharon Walt, the Hashimoto Health Coach, and I'm absolutely delighted that you are joining me here, either watching live or watching the replay. So, the whole purpose behind the Ask Dr. Sharon sessions is to answer any questions that you might have about autoimmune conditions in general and Hashimoto's in particular. So, if you've got some questions about it, you can put some in the comments below, and I certainly will be able to use those in upcoming sessions. Okay. So today I wanted to talk about lifestyle changes. So you've probably heard me mention that the start of the healing process for those with an autoimmune condition such as Hashimoto's is to focus on dietary and lifestyle changes first, because those are going to have the most fundamental effects. Now, I've talked previously about the necessary dietary changes, and today I want to focus on what is meant by lifestyle changes and how they can positively affect your health. So, when we talk about lifestyle changes, we mean changing the habits that over a lifetime have contributed to developing chronic disorders. Now, many of these we may not even be conscious of. Many of these habits are there to make our lives easier. Now, unfortunately, there can be a price to pay for this convenience. So, what was the purpose of making these lifestyle changes? How they work? Two. First one, we want to make these changes so to focus on reducing or ideally eliminating our exposure to toxins. Now, remember that exposure to toxins is one of the key root causes of an autoimmune disorder such as Hashimoto's. Our exposure to toxins has a domino effect on many aspects of our health. So, most importantly, toxins can disrupt our microbiome, not only in our gut, but also the microbiome that exists on our skin, and any mucous membrane in our bodies, such as in our mouth, our sinuses, our throat, our lungs, and more. Disruption can lead to infection and inflammation, and if it's ongoing, to tissue damage. So that's one of the main reasons that we want to make some healthy changes, is to reduce or hopefully eliminate our exposure to toxins. Now, the second function or reason what we would make these lifestyle changes is to optimize how well our body functions. So over time, some lifestyle habits can impede how well our body functions. So making small but sustainable changes can have a positive domino effect, leading to a better healing environment. Okay, so let's go into a bit of a deeper dive on this. Let's first look at how we address our exposure to toxins. Now, what toxins are we considering here? Well, there are toxins in our food, in our water, in the air we breathe, and what we put on our skin. And these are the major sources of toxins that we encounter. But another very important addition to the list, but generally not considered as a toxin per se, is chronic stress. We treat it as a toxin because of its effect on our body functions, from disruption to our microbiome, to the balance of our hormones, these hormones that are including our thyroid and sex hormones as well. So it's important to realize that stress not only affects our physical well-being. I think most of the time we think stress just affects our psychological and our emotional well-being, but it has much more widespread effects. Now, I've talked about stress in detail in the past, so I'll just go over some main points here. Now, I will be addressing a lot of these points in a much deeper dive over the next few sessions, but bear with me right now. Now, first, stress itself is not a bad thing. In fact, we need it in our lives. It's part of the fight or flight response that's necessary to our survival, or at least keeps us on our toes. Now, unfortunately, chronic stress is detrimental to our health and I think I've gone over that a bit. How do we manage it? Okay, first thing, realize that addressing it needs to be a priority. So generally consider this as a mindset tweak, but it can be a little bit more than just a tweak. Because I've encountered so many people who consider chronic stress as an integral part of who they are. It's considered a marker of success for them, or a sign of strength, or a sign of success. It can be a serious obstacle to overcome, but it's so important to be able to change this mindset and learn to prioritize relaxation breaks. So whether it's 15 minutes a day, or you schedule it during the week, or however you're going to do it, but you have to realize that relaxing and finding the joy in life is actually an integral part of healing. The next part is look at where the stress in your life is coming from. Is it your relationships? Is it your work or overwork? Is it your finances? Realizing that eliminating the source of stress, while ideal, is really not practical in most of the cases. But there are things that you can do. Can you redesign your environment in a way to reduce the stress? So looking at this in a different way, you say, can you delegate some of the work? If you don't feel that there are enough hours in the day to finish your tasks, then this is an opportunity to either delegate or perhaps reduce the importance of those tasks. Which are the ones that need to be done? Which ones don't need to be done by you, or don't need to be done at all? Now, I know that this can be difficult for some people. And on occasion, I've struggled with this myself. You figure, well, if I don't do it, then I'm a failure. And that is far from the case. Remember, your health is the most important thing. If you don't have your health, you're not going to be able to take part in this. Everything is going to start to fall apart. Okay, so let's look at some other examples. Many of my clients find that preparing meals for the family is the one task that they find really stressful, mostly because they're tired, and the whole process of trying to figure out, okay, what can I make? Do I have all the ingredients, and the time that it's going to take adds to their stress. Okay, consider, can other family members take some responsibility for meals at least once or twice during the week? Or consider using one of the many meal delivery services that provide the ingredients and the recipes. So you don't have to actually come up with some ideas. It's kind of there. You just put it in place. Time to actually shop. Does your grocery store have online shopping with delivery services? Now, I know not everyone is going to have these options available for them, but the idea is to start thinking of different ways. Okay. Another thing to think about on stress is to focus on how you manage or how you respond to stress. Do you find yourself getting stressed? Have you tried some meditation techniques or some breathing techniques? And I find getting stressed, just taking a couple of minutes to do a breathing technique just brings the level down a little bit so that I can get some clarity into what I'm doing. Even 5 minutes taking a break can make a difference. Okay, so again, I've only touched over life lightly on talking about stress as a toxin, and I will go into it later on in another session on a deeper dive. Let's look at addressing other toxins. Now, as in addressing stress, it's important to determine what toxins that we might be exposed to. Consider household cleaning products and personal care products. These are the sources that we are most commonly exposed to. Do an audit. What ingredients are your cleaning and personal care products? Consider swapping out the problem ones, the one with the unhealthy ingredients, and there can be a lot of those. Swap them out with healthier, cleaner products. Other aspects of lifestyle changes refer to changes or hacks that we can implement to improve how our body functions. Now, one of the most important is improving the amount and the quality of our sleep. Most people need about 8 hours of uninterrupted or quality sleep every night. there are a number of things that you can do to improve your sleep, and we call these practices sleep hygiene. So here's a few things that you can consider. Number one, having a set time to go to bed. So this is all about creating a routine. The really important one here, get rid of the technology. So that's your TV, your phones, your tablet, whatever. If possible, remove them from the bedroom entirely or stop all activity on them at least an hour before bed. It's actually really quite amazing how much the light that you're exposed to from whatever tech that you're looking at can have to stimulate you and make it much more difficult for you to fall asleep. Another little tip, keep the room dark. So again, anything that is glowing, you might want to turn it off and try to keep things just a little bit cooler. One of the things that I've found really helpful is keeping a gratitude journal. I use it before bed. So this is just writing down a few things that happened that I'm really grateful for. This tends to calm me down, makes it so much easier to fall asleep. And again, I can discuss this whole thing about sleep hygiene in a following deep dive. Now, another important lifestyle hack that can improve your digestion and absorption of key nutrients, and we call this eating hygiene. This refers to mindful eating, chewing slowly, and reducing the amount of water or liquid that you ingest during a meal. These changes work to optimize the production of stomach acid, which is necessary for digestion of protein, and probably much more importantly, the stomach acid is needed to help the absorption of key nutrients. So if you don't have enough stomach acid, let's say you've got very poor eating hygiene, and I know the one thing that probably a lot of people suffer from is eating too quickly. The long-term effect of this is actually a nutritional deficiency that is going to impact how well your body functions. Now, my very last quick example here. Do you take supplements, perhaps multivitamins? If so, are you taking them at the best time for digestion and absorption to occur? Now, most of the time, this is with your meals, but check the directions on the bottle. If you're not taking them at the right time, you're wasting your time and your money. It's absolutely useless because they're not going to be digested, they're not going to be absorbed, and they're just going to go right through you. Okay. Now, I'm well aware that all of these changes or hacks that I've talked about involve breaking a bad habit and creating a new healthy habit in its place. Some of these will be easier to implement than others. And forming new sustainable habits is hard work. Now, I've spoken before on the steps that you can take to make it easier. I can repost the link to the videos, and also I will post the link to blog posts that I've done on this so that you can learn a little bit more about that. Now, the important thing to remember is that you don't need to make all of these changes at the same time. And in fact, to increase the probability of creating a sustainable long-term change, pick one or two and build on it, okay? Once you've got a few working, so that you don't really have to think about it anymore, and start on something else. Okay, as I said, this was just kind of a quick overview of lifestyle hacks or lifestyle tweaks that are important to improving your health. As I've mentioned, I will go into deep dives on these later on. I hope you found this useful. Now, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. Otherwise, if you've got some other questions about your own health, you can always get in touch. And what I'm going to do here in the comments, I've put the link to my scheduler so that you can book a 20-minute talk with me. This is totally free. And I'm just going to put the banner up as well. Okay. So if you can't see the comments, this is the link that you can use to book a time and we can discuss what's bothering you and, come up with some ideas of what you can do. Okay. As I said, I hope you found this useful, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye for now.